Shows how dedicated you are. We'll start with the usual survey. Hands up, please, everybody who's new tonight. First ever Hive experience. Fantastic. Thank you and welcome. Guys, for those that are new, the usual Hive ethos, we're all about connecting the entrepreneurs of today and tomorrow. So we like to give everybody access to some prominent entrepreneurs that have been there and done that, or have had part of that journey and can share some of their lessons along the way with you. So whether or not you're just starting out, thinking about it, or already there's always something that you can take home as a little piece of value. So we hope you enjoy it tonight. Now I'll just thank our sponsors. We are a non-profit organisation, so we can't make this happen without the support of our sponsors. Greystone Bar, who host us here tonight and put on the nibbly food which is around on some of the tables. Please support them by buying a couple of drinks over the bar and giving back. Clovelly Estate Wines here as well, that sponsor our speaker's gift. And we've also got two national sponsors which cover our events in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, and that's Deloitte Digital and RMIT University. Now we've had a little bit of a surprise tonight. Things haven't quite gone to plan. We got a phone call from Sean Ryan, our guest speaker for tonight, very late today, with all his apologies in the world. He had a bit of a crisis to deal with, so I apologise for everyone that's made the special occasion to come and see Sean from Nova. We do have a replacement speaker for you tonight. We've brought up one of our speakers that we had planned for later in the year. Her name is Nat Duncan, and she runs a really interesting business in film locations. So she's actually a scout that finds locations for movie sets and TV commercials and a whole range of really creative projects. So she knows all of the little back alleys and sneaky places around Brisbane, and I'll let her tell her story herself. But I think you'll get a lot out of it tonight, so please ask Nat plenty of questions, and I'll hand over now. Nat, thank you.
Hello, thanks for coming along and leaving your heaters. I really didn't think there'd be many people here tonight, so thanks for coming along. Probably the story, I'm going to tell you the story of how I started my business, and a lot of the lessons that I learnt that I'll relay to you tonight are not rocket science. You've heard them all before, but the little lessons that I'll relay to you are really in fact very true, and you should heed them. You might hear people like Seth Godin or other people giving you these little lessons, but they're very, very true, sometimes unfortunately. My story goes a little bit like this. I was a primary school teacher, happily married in a very comfortable marriage, and I had quite a narrow life, but a very comfortable life, and I was very, very happy. And I would go off to teach every day. I had my 2 kids and my beautiful husband. And I was what I call now very white bread. I listened to bad radio and drank bad wine, and that's about all that was in my life besides teaching. And one day my husband came to me and said he was leaving me for a man, and my world stopped. So if you can imagine ground zero, that was what happened. So I went from this sort of lovely white picket existence to nothing. And that was probably the worst day of my life, but now I look back on it, it was actually the best day of my life. And maybe you've experienced that already, or you may experience that in your future, but the worst day of your life will actually become the best day of your life. Because that day made me totally do a U-turn, have a look at what's important in life, where I was going, who I was, what my skills were. And I went from this little meek, mild school teacher to this lion who roared with great confidence. So I kept teaching for a little while, but I became a pain in the ass as a teacher because my confidence had grown so much, and this awful experience had almost brought out the entrepreneur in me. I started to question absolutely everything that was going on. And maybe you, as some of you as entrepreneurs, recognise that in yourself, that you question everything. You question the status quo, you question why things have to be done a certain way, and I know my principal thought I was a pain in the ass. So when a redundancy came up offered by the department, I grabbed it. Now, if I hadn't have got that redundancy, I still was going to leave, because I felt this great urge to change, to totally turn my life on its head. And I think that's probably lesson number one, is if you want to start a successful business or become a successful entrepreneur, you need to jump off the cliff. Stand on the edge, make sure you know that there's some safety nets along the way, obviously, but you've got to take the step. Don't sit back in your comfortable job that you're in at the moment, or your university study that's nice and comfortable. You really need to take a deep breath and take that leap. And I often think to myself, when I still take these leaps, well, what's the worst that can happen? You know, and the worst that could have happened with me leaving teaching and trying to start a business was, well, it could have failed, and maybe I lost a bit of money and my friends would have laughed at me. But really, you have to keep saying to yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And 9 times out of 10, the worst never happens. You always just keep moving forward. So number one, stand at the edge of the cliff and jump off. You won't regret it. So I left teaching and went to work for my brother, he owned an art gallery and he was also making TV commercials. And he said, you run the art gallery, I'll be out the back making TV commercials with my production crew. But that really took off his TV commercial work, and so I had to often leave the art gallery and help him to do the locations for these film clips that he was making and TV commercials. And after a while they said, Nat, you're pretty good at this, you've got good communication skills and a good eye. And then my brother said, why don't you just start your own business as a location manager? And I said, hell yeah, because at that stage I felt like I could sell ice to Eskimos. I was so confident in this huge recovery that I'd made from ground zero. So I started my own location business. I knew zero about the film industry, and secretly I still know zero about the film industry. But I just started, and that's probably lesson number 2, or sub 2, is fake it till you make it. Without being fake or a slime bag, you can really get into an industry by faking it till you make it. So when I took directors out on recce's and they were talking about green screens and things were being greenlit, and I'd just nod my head and go, oh, I totally agree. I didn't know, I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. So around this time that I decided to start my own business, I was fortunate enough to stumble upon a company called Edgeware that helps young people and startups and takes in young entrepreneurs and encourages them to start their own business. So I'd encourage you to look up Edgeware, and Michael Doneman has spoken at the Hive. So around that time I did this course, and that really helped me, because Michael said, the first thing he said to me is, you've got to really know, first of